Season 38, War number 1, and we are up against MIBR. Today my team will be Tigra, Pryde and Omega Sentinel. I'm taking Path 7 in Section 1, as well as that Nick Fury on the Hazard Shift node, Path 5 in Section 2, as well as that Havok and Tigra, and lastly, all the right side mini-bosses. I'm only taking 9 fights this war because, well, I'm trying to take this season a little bit easier than the last one, since the previous season was very expensive for me. Up first we have a Pryde on the Vivified and Brute Force nodes. I'm taking this fight with Omega Sentinel, and I'm not using any pre-fights here, so that I start with the Cowardice debuff mode. The Cowardice debuff prevents Kitty from gaining any prowess, and it also removes any prowess she may have had already on her. So now she basically doesn't do anything. The most important part about taking this fight is to just be sure to not push her to her special 3. Other than that, she doesn't really pose a threat. She doesn't have that much HP, so this fight is over in a single special 2. Well, almost. I let the plasmas finish her off. Omega Sentinel may not be the best counter for Kitty, since Nimrod exists, but she is up there as one of the best ones. I had a teammate go and place the White Magneto pre-fight here for Nick Fury to make it slightly easier for me with Pryde. So this fight is a Nick Fury on the Hazard Shift, Incinerate and Poison with the Power Efficiency node. I'm taking this with Pryde because she is immune to Incinerate and she is a great option for Nick Fury in general. The game plan here is to basically not hit him during the poison phase, because, well, while you can face the poison damage with Kitty, the opponent will gain a massive Fury buff on this node whenever your attacker gains a debuff. So if I get a poison, Nick Fury gets a huge Fury buff, and if those poisons stack up, I'm gonna melt pretty quickly whenever I don't have my phasing up. I also much prefer baiting the special 2s on this node instead of the special 1, because the special 1s push you back quite a bit if he keeps spamming them. And if you're cornered, Pryde can't dash at the opponent, meaning she can't trigger her phasing either. So getting cornered is something you don't wanna do with her. Now that Nick Fury is in his second life, I just need to wait for him to drop to 30%, hit him like once or twice, and then throw my special 3 to finish the fight. I have my recoil masteries on, and the Incinerate debuffs that Nick Fury tries to trigger on you ramp up the prowess potency on Pryde, so the special 3 is more than enough to finish him off. This special 3 dealt just under 70,000 damage, which is pretty good, considering Pryde didn't even have her full ramp up yet at this point. And then we have a Havok on the Power Snack and 1 too many hits nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Omega Sentinel, starting with the heal block debuff mode active. I'm using Omega Sentinel here for a few reasons. Number 1, she's immune to Nullify, so Power Snack node can't do anything. And number 2, the armor up buffs on Omega Sentinel prevent all of the plasma detonation damage that Havok would normally deal to you. And this is a very safe fight for Omega Sentinel, but if you were to get hit while you have 10 armor up buffs, you trigger Omega Sentinel's auto block, which consumes all of them. And if that happens while Havok has plasma debuffs, which deal energy damage, you're gonna melt faster than you can even ask what happened. So just make sure you do not get hit while doing this fight. Up next we have a Galan on the Ebb and Flow intercept node, and I'm taking this fight with Pryde. The game plan here is to just keep baiting his special ones and face blocking them. By face blocking them, you don't take any block damage, you don't have to worry about timing your dexing right, and you will not take any of the harvest damage ever, as long as you time it right. Now as for damage, well, I'm just gonna be relying on my basic attacks for the whole fight. I'm not gonna be using any special attacks, because I don't want to consume my prowess, and I don't really want to knock him down either, since he is a conduit defender. I would say Pryde is probably one of the best counters for Galan, but there are champions like Tigra, Rintrah and Wiccan who inflict neutralize, preventing all of his buffs. So I'd have to say that those champions are the best options for him. But in Alliance War with these nodes, or namely the Conduit Global, I'd say that those options are not as good. So for Alliance War, at least for this season, Pryde is, well, in my opinion, the best option. You could make arguments for Blade, because Galan is a dimensional being, but it's not 2017 anymore, no one uses Blade. And I'm definitely not saying that because I'm salty that I never pulled Blade, but yeah, never mind that. Now we have a Mojo on the Ebb and Flow intercept and Mighty Charge nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Pryde. Pryde is a decent option for Mojo, but I can't say she's one of the best ones. You have no real way to control his power, and if he doesn't throw his specials, you are in some trouble. Kitty can avoid the regen damage just fine with her phasing, but eating special 3s is never something you wanna do in Alliance War, so yeah, as long as he keeps throwing the specials just fine, without trying to corner you, you shouldn't have any issues taking him with Kitty. Now that he's low enough and I landed an intercept to remove the protection, I'm just gonna go and throw my special 3 to finish him off. Even if this somehow wouldn't finish him off, well, I still have my long phasing up, and he would be free to hit into me or use his special 3, he would drop dead either way. But that would be using the Kitty cycle, and I don't do that. Next up we have a Tigra on the Ebb and Flow intercept and Mighty Charge nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Pryde as well. The game plan here was to just get to my special 2, remove the protection and nuke her down, but it didn't go exactly as I wanted it to go. I'm building up my prowess just fine and Tigra is playing nice, but now I'm looking at her power meter and I get cold feet. I don't wanna hit her at all at this point, because Mystic Dispersion would push her to her special 3, and the protection was still up, so my special 2 probably would not have finished her off. So I had to bait that special 2. Now I'm almost cornered and she isn't going for my intercepts, so I was getting a little sweaty there and scared, but luckily she did allow me to intercept her once, and that removed the protection and gave me an opening for my special 3 to finish the fight. Next up we have a Longshot on the Safeguard miniboss node. I'm taking this fight with Omega Sentinel. I'm not using any pre-fights here, because I am planning on using heavy attacks in this fight, meaning that it doesn't matter which mode I start in, I'm gonna be switching through them all. The plan going in was to use double mediums followed by heavy attacks to get those non-damaging debuffs up and to keep them paused. Then I gotta build up to my special 2 and use it to get those incinerate debuffs up and ticking, and then just make sure they are paused, and that should be the fight done. Now the reason why I used Omega Sentinel here instead of Kitty Pryde was because, well, Omega Sentinel is immune to Nullify as well as Fate Seal, so he won't be nullifying any of my armor up buffs or my dexterity, and Longshot Special 2 will not do any of those big incinerates on me either. So the only risk about taking this fight is the Special 3 and possibly the Special 1. I'm not quite sure. I believe it is considered bleed damage, which means that it shouldn't do anything to Omega Sentinel, but I actually haven't tried it, so can't say for sure. The other reason why I used Omega Sentinel here was those Incinerate debuffs. They made the fight a lot faster than it would have been with Kitty Pryde, because it was the safeguard node. Next up we have a Rintrah on the Stunning Reflection and Polka Dot Power miniboss nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Kitty Pryde. And we all know the drill by now. I'm gonna be baiting his special ones and punishing them with my heavy attack to keep knocking him down to remove his mystical charges. Doing that means that Rintrah doesn't really do anything really. It's just a very tanky defender, so it's gonna be a long fight regardless. So with that said, I'm just gonna speed up the rest for you guys, because I'm pretty sure everyone who's watching this has already seen me take this fight before many times, and there really isn't anything new to explain. Just one more combo and the fight is over, and that took over 3 minutes to do. Yeah, I was hoping I wouldn't have to take this fight, but I took it anyways, because then I could just take all my fights in one go and I wouldn't have to reboost later. Having to use a new set of boosts for a single fight later in the war would have been a lot more annoying than doing that fight and taking 3 minutes to do it. Although I do hate the fight, it was the better option out of the two. Up next is the last fight of this war, a Mr. Sinister on the Brute Force miniboss node, and I'm taking this fight with Omega Sentinel, starting with the heal block debuff mode active. Now the game plan here is to just get a heal block debuff up and then just keep it paused for the whole fight. I'm not gonna be stacking those debuffs, or at least too many of them, and I'm not gonna be using my special 2 for the plasma debuffs, for the simple reason that Mr. Sinister's special 1 transfers all of the damaging debuffs on him to the opponent. So if I use a special 2 and inflict those plasma debuffs on him, and he throws his special 1, I'm gonna be eating all of those plasma debuffs, which will more than likely finish me off. And that is pretty much all there is to it. The Disorient don't really do anything to Omega Sentinel against Mr. Sinister, because Omega Sentinel is immune to ability accuracy reductions against mutant champions, so the Disorients will not prevent you from landing your parries. Although this node also has Limber, which means you have a limited amount of parries, but you don't really need to parry the opponent to be able to take them down. Oh, I do have to mention though that the disorients do still lower your block efficiency, so don't stack too many of them up, or you're gonna be hurting if you block attacks. And that is my war done. A deathless war is always a great war to start the season with. We did end up winning the war as well, 6-4. I'm looking forward to seeing how we manage for the rest of the season.